So are you tired of history lessons that are, out of the textbook, kind of boring, kind of dull? You're on your booties, not really getting up and doing anything. I hear you. So I have 11 awesome, insanely fun ideas for you to do with your kids. But before we get into it, I just want to let you know that this video is part of a homeschool collaboration hosted by Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from The Waldock Way. And make sure you check out their playlist below. And my name, if you haven't met me, is Xuan, and I'm from the Homeschool Front blog. And this is my channel, Life in the Trenches, where I share all things about homeschooling. And I am a former history teacher, so I feel like I kind of have a little edge on this topic. So let's get into it. All right, so the first idea that I have is to host a history scavenger hunt. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. One is to do it at home. You can create clues and then hide items that represent those clues. So I'm going to give the American Revolution as my example because we're kind of studying that right now, or soon to be studying that. You would create a series of clues about historical events related to the American Revolution. And with those clues, you would have your kids figure out what that historical event was based on the clues, and then go find an object. Say one of the clues is the Boston Tea Party, then you can write a little clue about that. Your kids will figure it out. It's the Boston Tea Party. They'll fill out their little worksheet or whatever that they have, and then go find a little boat hidden with your tea bags in your pantry. Also, another idea is to do like a virtual scavenger hunt where they're looking online for items. So you would have these clues, and then you could have your kids look for it, and then they would have to like screenshot when they found the clue. And then another one is if you can get somewhere in person. So if you live in the Northeast and you can easily get to Boston, then you can do a scavenger hunt in person and then have your kids take pictures. Or, I know, I love scavenger hunts, so I can go on and on about this. Say you're going to a museum or a historical site, you can do a scavenger hunt based just solely on that site. So you would have to probably visit in advance in order to create the clues. But, I often like to do this with my kids when we go to museums or historical sites, and they will have to explore those sites and find the clues in order to win a prize. So next is cooking. So creating foods that people actually ate back in the day. And it's just a fun way to immerse your kids into the culture that was around, because history is not just facts, it's also culture. So say you're talking about early American history, you can create cornbread using the corn from the Native Americans at the time, which you can actually find if you look online. You can also create a succotash based on the Three Sisters. So there's a lot of different recipes you can do based on the historical events or historical time period that you're studying. You just have to be a little creative and search online. We have a local museum here that often has like dinner nights where they host dinners based on historical time periods. So there was like one was like a Roman feast, another was like a Greek feast. So there's, look around, because there are ways where you can study about history through food. Everyone likes to eat, right? And if your kids are a picky eater, then, it's kind of cool to have them involved in cooking, because they're more likely to eat something that they don't normally want to eat. Okay, so next is like making a time travel video. Time capsules are very common to do, but I think making a video is really fun. This is something I used to do with my students back in the day, when YouTube was in its infancy. I would have them make videos, like time travel videos, or reenact historical event, and then film that, and then we would all watch it. It was really fun. So I think that is another fun activity you can do with your kids. And I know that's something that we've done in the past. Like my kids made a commercial for the gold rush last year, for the California gold rush. So that was really fun to do. And, the kids are being creative, and everyone likes a video and YouTube nowadays, so just lean into it. So another really cool idea that a lot of people already do, so it's probably nothing new to you, is to create a timeline so that you can see the historical events in the order that they happen and how they relate to other historical events in other parts of the world. And you can do that either physically, like on paper, or digitally. You could have your kids create like a biography series where they like make videos and they have to like dress up as the character. You know, instead of writing a book report or a biography report or whatever, you could have your kids film a video about it. And I'm probably going to talk a lot about video because I think video is an awesome resource, an awesome tool to use. Next is field trips. So field trips are field trips are close to my heart. I love field trips. So your field trips does not have to be in person. They can be virtual as well. A lot of museums and historical sites have virtual field trips that you can check out. The Pursuit of History, which is a nonprofit organization, they also have virtual field trips. These are historians that go out to historic sites and give you a tour online. You can also do in-person too. They do have in-person field trips as well. They call it like history camp, I think. That is something you can do. If you want to do something in person, do something local, or do something virtual. Field trips are an excellent way of bringing history alive and just to seeing things like in person or virtually in person. So next is like handicrafts, models, and more. So I'm going to give you an example from when I was a history teacher. At the end of the school year, we would watch, probably not PC today, but back then, we would watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And then my students would create their own time machine, their little phone booth time machine. And then inside, they would have little historical figures that they collected. And then they would present this and talk a little bit about each historical person that they had collected in their time machine. So, you know, you can do something fun like that. Or I remember when we studied American history and the presidents, I had my students create baseball cards or Pokemon cards or whatever type of trading card, all based on the presidents. I've also had my kids, my own kids, create models of the missions, the California missions in Minecraft, because it's a lot easier to build there than it is to build in person. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can do handicrafts. So we just did a history unboxed lesson where we made our own mud cloth from Mali. And so there's a lot of different ideas that you can do to make history fun that are hands-on activities. So you just gotta be creative and kind of think outside the box. And next is to do a book club. This is something you would need others, other homeschooling families to participate in. So if you have anyone that is willing to join in on the book club, your kids can read historical fiction novels based on the time period that you're studying, and then get together with their friends and have like a little book party at the end. You know, not so much like a book club discussion as adults would do, because I don't know about you, all the book clubs I've been in, there was just like a tad bit of discussion and more like a celebration of eating and drinking and having fun. So kind of do that with the kids, but no wine, you know? So instead you would have food that relates to the historical period. You would have drinks that relate to the historical period. You would have like activities the kids would do. Maybe even have them come dressed up. Make it fun and exciting. And next is to study history through music, which is something I love to do when I was teaching. Whenever we studied a historical time period or if we're studying about different cultures, I would play the music from that culture, modern music or historical music. It just depended on what we were studying and what was available as well. And so that's just a great way of having that music in the background. Like, you don't have to sit there and discuss it in some serious manner, but just having the music on in the background while your kids are working on crafts or working on art or just working on what have you is another great way of bringing history alive. And then my favorite, second favorite or first favorite, I think field trips are my first favorite, so this would be my second favorite, is games. Play historical games. They're so much fun. Or just play games that involve history. So playing games is fun. It involves strategy. There's so many other skills that are included. And there's a ton of history games out there. So if you need ideas on what history games to play with your kids, especially if it's about American history, make sure you check out this video right here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.